Good evening. The director of a yachting company has been charged with manslaughter 2 years after 4 sailors died in the Atlantic. The men were all on board the Cheeky Rafiki, which capsized. Well, Emma Wilkinson joins us now from the newsroom with more details. Emma, take us back to 2014 and explain exactly what happened.
Well, the Cheeky Rafiki was a 40-foot yacht sailing to the UK from Antigua in May 2014. It suffered a catastrophic failure when the keel of the boat fell off 700 miles off the coast of Canada. On board were the 4-man crew, the skipper Andrew Bridge from Farnham in Surrey, along with James Mail from Romsey in Hampshire, and 2 other men from Somerset, Steve Warren and Paul Goslin. The yacht capsized so quickly the crew had no chance to escape to their life raft. At the time, the US Coast Guard was criticised for calling off the search for the crew after only 2 days. Family and friends called for them to continue, and the upturned hull of the Cheeky Rafiki was eventually found, but with no sign of the 4 men. Now, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency has been carrying out an extensive investigation and today announced that the Crown Prosecution Service has charged Douglas Inners, the director of Stormforce Coaching Limited, with 4 counts of manslaughter by gross negligence. The company has also been charged with a shipping offence. They are expected to appear at Southampton Magistrates Court on the 3rd of November.
Emma Wilkinson, thank you very much for that. In other news, a man's been charged with attempted kidnap with intent to commit a sexual offence in Portsmouth. A 14-year-old girl was followed and then stopped by a man on Kent Road on Wednesday afternoon. Roger Seath, who's 41 and of no fixed abode, has been charged and remanded in custody. The former chief executive of Southern Health, Katrina Percy, has announced she's leaving the trust altogether. She first stepped down in August following repeated calls for her to go, taking up another role within the trust created specifically for her. But the trust says public feedback means it's no longer possible for her to stay. Ms Percy was criticised for her lack of leadership after hundreds of unexpected deaths of vulnerable patients were not investigated. A man from Surrey has been jailed for 3 years for a series of sex offences more than 10 years ago. 48-year-old Lee Long from Farnham pleaded guilty to 22 counts of rape and indecent assault against young girls. He admitted the offences after DNA evidence was uncovered by Surrey police. Now, there's growing speculation the government will announce on Tuesday next week which airport will get the go-ahead to expand. Heathrow is expected to be chosen, but Gatwick could expand at a later date. With the latest, here's Rachel Hepworth.
Well, I'm actually at the top of the control tower at Heathrow Airport. It's not normally somewhere we'd be allowed to go, but they've invited the cameras in today ahead of this much anticipated announcement. And in fact, over there you can see where the new runway, if it is decided to be built here, will go, just running parallel to the north runway, just across those fields and through up towards the M25. The decision wouldn't be before time, of course. It's been delayed once because of Brexit, and they'll tell you here at Heathrow that this is the best place for a 3rd runway. At the moment, 75 million people use the airport every year. If they get a 3rd runway, they say flights would be almost doubled from around 480 to 750,000 a year and create around 70,000 jobs locally. Of course, it's not without its opponents. Campaigners were here just a week ago protesting about the plans. They're concerned about noise pollution, emissions and added congestion around Heathrow, although the airport here says it can meet targets with things like a congestion charge and a new rail link from Reading to Heathrow, which would take traffic off the M4. It'll be an interesting decision for Theresa May too, as well, because as Maidenhead MP, she's been a little ambivalent towards Heathrow, to say the least, but now it's thought she will offer a free vote to MPs about the issue. And whatever the decision, it's contentious. Campaigners will continue their fight, and whenever it comes, potentially as early as Tuesday next week, Heathrow, they say they're ready for it.
Rachel Hepworth reporting there from Heathrow. Now, Solent devolution could be a step closer after 2/3 of people supported the plans in a public consultation. It would see Portsmouth, Southampton and the Isle of Wight councils joining together as a new combined Solent authority with one mayor in charge.
This is about greater efficiency. It's about those 3 upper-tier councils in the Solent area working together to spend public money more wisely and to get better outcomes, particularly around improvements to motorway junctions.
Members of the Sikh community have been preparing free meals for hundreds of people as part of an international drive to tackle hunger. The free food will be offered at a number of different locations in Southampton this weekend, all part of the Langer celebrations.
There's not a group of specific people that we would give it to. So anyone, bystanders, people are walking past. We aim the food for at the homeless people, but like I said, anyone that's walking past, we also get students that start, people that come out of their houses and residents and businesses.
Now, hundreds of people have turned out for a jobs fair in Southampton. More than 1,000 vacancies were being showcased, half of them at the new Westquay Watermark development.
It's going to be a challenge. It's a lot of jobs at one time in a city with low unemployment, but we've been preparing for this for the past 2 years. So we commissioned a research study to look at skill shortages in the area. We've been trying to train people up. So a lot of our potential tenants here that are opening said they find managers and chefs difficult to find.
Finally tonight, the Great South Run takes place in Portsmouth in 2 weeks' time, and there are just a few spaces left if you fancy it. Around 20,000 people will take part, from elite athletes to fun runners, and many of them will be raising money for causes important to them, such as Katie Cornhill from Brighton. Andrew Pate has her story.
Katie is running for the Firefighters charity. She's been a firefighter in Hampshire for 18 years. But she's also taking part to spread a very important message.
Doing the Great South Run isn't just about, doing a run, you're quite right. This is about the world acknowledging that someone like myself, who is a trans person, can take part in a sporting event, run it for charity and perform at quite a good standard, just like anybody else in the community. It means a lot to me to do that because it shows that we are part of society. We are not going anywhere as trans persons, but we're just human beings like everybody else.
At her home in Brighton, Katie told me she always knew she was female, but had been born in a boy's body. She was living as a man during her 6 years as a Marine and had been in the fire service for over a decade when she decided enough was enough. And she hopes others learn from her mistakes.
If you can, don't take so long to make the decision to make the journey, because I went through 3 years of incredible pain, discomfort, trying to make the decision and finding the safe environment. I do truly believe that the Fire and Rescue Service is a very inclusive environment. It has its challenges like any other organisation, but predominantly you will be accepted without exception for who you are.
The Great South Run for Katie is about spreading the word, just as she had to when she told her family. This was Katie with her twin brother. Sean, with the lighter hair, has always been supportive, but she wasn't sure how others would react.
My father was someone I feared telling, if I'm honest. When I was younger, I witnessed such great language and behaviours, attitudes about lots of different community groups. My dad, when I told him, however, reacted in a very positive way and was amazingly supportive. And identified to me, oh yeah, that's okay, you used to do this when you was younger, you did that when you was younger. We kind of knew that something was different.
20,000 runners, many of them raising money, many of them with inspiring stories to tell.
And the very best of luck to her. Now, what does the weekend weather have in store? With all the details tonight, here is James Wright.
From sleet to the slopes, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Hi there, good evening. Lots of gloomy weather around today. Lots of cloud. Overcast, really. At least it hasn't been too wet. We have had a lot of cloud, a little bit of dampness in the air because of this feed in across the Baltic, Denmark and the North Sea. A little bit of dampness in the air, but this whole high pressure system kind of traps the cloud underneath it, but it is holding out the Atlantic systems out towards the west of us. So as far as tonight goes, well, lots of cloud once again. Stream of dampness out in the channel, might just flirt with the coast from time to time. 1 or 2 bits of dampness elsewhere. But you'll notice these breaks in the cloud from time to time That will keep the temperatures on the slightly cooler side where you see them, more like 12 where you've got lots of cloud, but under the clear spells where we could see 1 or 2 mist patches developing. They will just lift up into the cloud because obviously not a lot of sun to burn it back, and a repeat performance, a little bit of dampness from time to time, slightly showery dampness, and then into the afternoon hopefully things should brighten up a touch. That's going to help with the temperatures, 16 Celsius, but it's a one-day only offer because whilst things brighten up, we've got that feed of slightly cooler air in from the continent. So grey start on Sunday, brighter later, some good spells hopefully, and then the opposite on Monday. Sleep well, night-night.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
And that is all from us for tonight. We are back tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, but from me and from all of us here on the Late Team tonight, good night.